Hey everybody, what's up? My name is Piers Austin. I am the host of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm going to bring in Masada, our very special guest, very soon. The gentleman to my left, to my right, is Clem MDK. You know him as Ryan Clemson. He's a good buddy of mine, and he is a deathmatch fan from way back and goes to a lot of deathmatch shows. So, guys, I just want to make special thanks to Defend Deathmatch International for allowing us to stream in the group, as well as Brothers of the Belt, Wrestling Review Society. We're also going live in Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance on the Facebook page and YouTube page. So without further ado, let me introduce to you and everyone watching, Masada. What's up, brother? Thanks for joining us.
What's going on? Thanks for having me. How are y'all doing?
What's going on, brother?
We're doing well, man. We're doing well. Man, how's everything been going? I just saw your probably one of your most recent matches against Casanova Valentine in the no rope barbed wire match, man. How are you healing up after that?
I'm fully healed. I'm always good, you know.
I was there, buddy.
I'm always good.
I was front row, actually.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, that's very fucking awesome show, dude. You killed it. Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
No, honestly, I mean, I heal up pretty quickly from like death matches, you know. I'm 38 now and I'm still walking fine, you know. Pro wrestling for 21 years, so I'm doing good.
Yourself somehow.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So getting into it, you know, obviously, you know, the standard questions of where you'll rest, where you've were trained and everything like that. We won't go into and ask that question because I think everyone knows you were trained in Texas by WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels.
Right.
You know, when you first got into the wrestling business, you know, did you have a goal of wanting to get into the ultra-violent style or the hardcore wrestling, or were you thinking you'd be doing more the scientific style? Where was your desire when you first got into wrestling?
I mean, the thing is, like, when I first started wrestling, it's like I learned technical wrestling and lucha libre. And hardcore wrestling was really popular because, I mean, I broke in '99.
Yeah.
So you had ECW, FMW was on top in Japan. And I think the thing is more or less like politically, like with wrestling, it's super political. It's hard to get spots. It's hard to get like a consistent job. So I started seeing the writing on the wall. And like when I broke in, I was already doing hardcore matches. I wasn't doing anything like too ultra violent, but I mean, it was there, like barbed wire corners, thumbtacks, broken glass, pre-broken glass. But anyway, besides all that, it's like with all the politics and yes.
Yeah.
So it's like with all the politics in wrestling, you know, especially in America, it seemed like that was an easier niche to go to Japan because my ultimate goal was always go overseas. So, you know, I did WWE tryouts, I did Impact tryouts, and then I was working for Ring of Honor, and then you just see the writing on the wall, who they like, who's kissing ass, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? You know, I got the call to go to Big Japan, or actually go to the Japan. It could have been any company, but I chose Big Japan of all companies.
Shout out.
Yeah, for sure. There you go.
So what was it about Big Japan that sort of attracted you there?
What's that?
What was it about Big Japan Pro Wrestling that really attracted you to go there specifically?
I mean, the main thing is like FMW had shut down. You know, FMW was always a company I wanted to work for. I mean, realistically, when it comes down to it, ECW and FMW were the places that I wanted to work at. But FMW was shut down, ECW was shut down. So Big Japan was now like, you know, the same company, the same type of style, I should say, that was doing that overseas. So that's where I went.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, obviously getting into more of the ultra-violent deathmatch style, you know, can you tell us how you were introduced into that style of wrestling? Was it in Big Japan Pro Wrestling, or did you have death matches previous in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, that's like the thing. Like when I started in '99, like I was working like the small like Texas scene, and then also in Louisiana. Majority of the matches I did in Louisiana were like hardcore matches and like somewhat death matches. It was very much like a stipulation, like, you know, like WWF or WWE, like this is the stipulation here. But I mean, they were extreme wrestling. It's not like, I don't know, like I think the thing is like the stereotype of like hardcore wrestling or ultra violent wrestling is like most guys, it's just blood and guts.
Yeah.
My matches were always show wrestling, show lucha libre, show technical wrestling, and then add the elements of weapons in there as a surprise, you know. That's just like the icing on the cake. So that was always my style of like going forward with that type of like gimmick matches or whatever you want to say they are. But I always like to put wrestling aspects and high flying in every single match. Like if you look at every one of my matches, they're different, like as far as like spots goes. And then there's like a few like, obviously my signature moves, but more or less every match is different, It's not like if you watch somebody on Impact Wrestling and they do the same match every taping and you know what they're going to do. The high spot, sequences of moves. Like mine are always different.
Yeah. And I think that you've always been recognized as, like guys like you and Danny Havoc specifically as guys who like can work a fucking match on top of the ultra violence. You know what I mean?
And having those elements in there as well, and that's I was talking to Corporal Robinson the other day, and he was saying, he's like, there's good deathmatch wrestling and there's bad deathmatch wrestling, and you have to be able to really take in the basics and put the elements of professional wrestling into play, and the gimmicks and stuff, they're just a bonus added into that, but you have to really like have the focus on it. I myself have got a great deal of respect for anyone who steps in the professional wrestling business, because it is not an easy life and it's not an easy industry to get into and to get to a certain level. But,
right, definitely not. I mean, that goes into like what I was saying earlier. It's like with the politics. Like if I could have gone like full force in like technical wrestling and been on WWE or Impact or a mainstay in Ring of Honor for that matter, if there was. It's all based on talent, then I would be there. If it's based on politicking and all the other garbage that comes along with wrestling, that's not my game, and that never has been and never will be, But I mean, majority of the top guys, sorry, going on a tangent here, but a majority of guys, the top guys, like AEW is a new company that's, obviously not even up and rising. It's already rise to the top. But check their roster out. Like at some point in time, I've wrestled these guys, even with WWE, like that's gone through NXT or Ring of Honor or Impact for that matter. It's like I've wrestled all these guys.
Or CZW.
My main thing is, what's that?
Or CZW. I mean, even MJF was in CZW. Like a lot of those guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, my main thing has always been like a wrestle circles around anybody. It doesn't matter who they are. And, I do this, I mean, that's who I am. That's my character. And like, I still walk strong and proud about it, So, I mean, a lot of people like try to downplay deathmatch wrestling, but like you said, there is good and there is bad. Some guys actually see deathmatch wrestling as the easy way in, and that's where it needs to be eradicated out. So, yeah, I mean, that's up to promoters, of like who's top talent, who are the best, and guys that are just easily trying to get in on a niche and just don't need to be there. But that even goes with pro wrestling in general, Well, there's a lot of crappy talent out there.
Well, that's the thing as well. I mean, it's one thing to go in there and beat the shit out of someone with a light tube and rub their face in barbed wire, but it's another thing to actually go out there and tell a professional wrestling story and put on a wrestling clinic. And as I said, including those other elements and the bits and pieces that it will accentuate the match further. But there's always got to be that the wrestling aspect of it. And that's why I've been a big fan of yours, Masada, is the fact that you do bring those other elements, as you said, the high flying, the technical, the brawling, you've got that down. And that's one thing that, not every professional wrestler can go and do deathmatch wrestling, but a lot of deathmatch wrestlers, the good deathmatch wrestlers in the world, they can go and have a professional wrestling match with name the top star in any company. You know what I mean? They could go and put on a good match.
Can I
definitely
real quick? Like certain things that you may do, like during the Casanova match at the finish with the chair, the way you sat it down and slid it to him before kicking it into him. Dude, it was like the timing was perfect. You know what I mean? Like the little shit like that adds to the story, you know what I mean? It made the finish that much better than just a sloppy, here I'm going to throw a chair down and fucking kick it in this dude's face.
Right. And then if you get down with that match as well, it's like, he's beating the hell out of me. Then my wife, comes in and like distracts him, you know, not even distract him, help him, but it's like starts talking shit because like legit, it's like ripping my hair out with that barbed wire glove.
Bro, by the way, Steven in his comments had bought that glove and owns it now. So shout out to Stephen Bradley, who now has your hair in his house somewhere.
Well, I will say this, like everything on my body's healed up, but like the back of my head, like from getting hit side of my head from that stupid glove, like that was like some of them still haven't fully healed, but everything else is fine.
Oh man, that's tough, dude.
You know, going through like I think even a professional wrestling match without weapons or any other elements in it, you know, it takes a toll on one's body. How you know, you've been professional wrestling for 21 years. How's your body holding up after all the the matches that you've had? You know, also the crazy matches that you've had and the insane bumps that you've gone through. How are you finding your body now, 21 years after making your debut?
I mean, the thing is, I mean, I could still move around like when I was 20. I mean, certain things hurt, like my back hurts, and my knee pops occasionally. But other than that, it's like I can still move around fine, you know. And I don't know if it's genetics or just, you know, I mean, it has to be because I mean, a lot of guys like, I mean, Matt Tremont, who hasn't been in the business that long, you know, is walking with a limp, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because I was being smarter about things. I really don't know, or like I said, maybe it's genetics. But I mean, I walk fine. You know, there's occasionally, you know, after a match, is obviously I'm sore, but nothing that's like I can't get out of bed. You know,
you preserved yourself much better than a lot of the guys that came in at the same time as you. Like,
right, for sure, definitely, because I mean, majority of the guys that came in at the same time in '99, they're retired or they're just out of the business. Well, yeah, they're retired.
Just
you know,
you know what I mean? Like not in the best spots in life or whatever.
Right.
I mean,
first of all, rest in peace to Justice Payne. Fucking
right, definitely.
I want to give a shout out to him real quick.
And that's the thing. I mean, you look at the guys that really got into it around that 99 time, guys like Lobo, Wife Beater, you know, those guys had very, very short careers. And you look back at some of the crazy shit that they were doing.
Right.
You know, like I said, you know, were they doing the best thing for their careers for longevity, you know, or were they only planning to be in the business for a short time? But either way.
I mean, I think a lot of things play out to just being like recklessness. Yeah, I mean, you know, I can't say because I didn't work with those guys at that time period. I was doing my own thing. But I would think a lot of things is like you have an idea of what you want to do and then not knowing properly how to fall on it or how to take it, you know. And I think a lot of things like in wrestling in general, that's what it is, you know, like
100%.
a lot of people take things, maybe they think in their head they're going to take it properly, but then they mess up. I mean, that happens every match. But, you know, there's a big difference when you look at guys like, say, like in Mexico, like luchadors, they're still around wrestling in their 60s that have done crazy stuff. Like LA Park, prime example. Like if you watch his matches in Major League Wrestling against Sabu, he's doing tope cogilos over the top rope to hit a table, and he misses the table and hits a concrete floor.
Yep.
But yet, at his age, he can still move and he can still go. So, I mean, I think it's all about like taking care of yourself and, you know, properly doing things. I mean, the best that you can, because it's still,
it's
flesh and bones hitting concrete and like, you know, wood and glass or whatever it may be. So,
hey, look, I skated for 15, 20 years, so it's the same, you know what I mean? You learn how to take a fall, you know what I mean?
Right. I skateboarded too. When I started twisting my ankles, I was like, I'm done with this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no.
I hear you, man. And and this isn't talking shit about Matt at all. Like on in the background, I have on what was this? Tournament of Death 10. This is your first TOD that you won, actually. And Matt is so young and 100 pounds lighter, and you know what I mean? No, I love Matt to death. I was just with him a few days ago, but like,
yeah, Matt's great.
It takes a toll on you, man. You know?
Yeah.
It does.
I think the thing is too, it's like if you look at the things like what I did in Big Japan, it's like those tours. I mean, I didn't go over there and do tours. I did series. I was over there for a period of 3 months each time. Yeah. And like the schedule was full where it's every day, like death matches or hardcore wrestling every fucking day.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's funny because I even joked around with like Danny Havoc. Last time I went over to Japan, it's like, you know, we did like a 1 week, a 1 week tour. And I was like, damn, you know, I'm feeling this right now. And I was like, how the hell, like in my mind thinking, it's like, how the hell did I do 3 months? Or like, and it was ongoing. It wasn't like, hey, here 3 months and then like you're off for a period of time. It'd literally be, I would be in Japan for 3 months, go home for like in the United States for 2 days and go back and do it 3 months.
Yeah.
But I mean, my body was just used to it. And I guess it's more or less that hunger, that go ahead of like, this is what you got to do. So, you know, suck it up. But I don't know, man. I'm not a little bitch like that. So it wasn't even that. So, and I'm definitely not a sadist or sadomasochist where I like pain, you know.
No, I feel you.
So you made mention of obviously being in Japan for like obviously 3 month stints. How did you find the Japanese culture and living over there essentially? Because that's what you were doing, being there for 3 months at a time.
I mean, the first 3 months that I did over there, it's like, that was always a goal. Like, I think the thing is like, when you get into pro wrestling, the main thing is like, you want to go to Japan because it's like the stipulation of like Japan or like, it's more or less like that's the best, you know, Japan is the best talent. And like, if you watch like guys like before me and like, you know, generations I watched and before that, like their best matches were always in Japan. So the main set of like your mind is like, I want to go to Japan and I want to do my best. So when I first went over there, I hated it, honestly. Like my expectations of what Japan was supposed to be or what like I was told it was going to be, as far as like a professional level and like a business side level of like the promotions taking care of the talent, the gaijin talent was like not even close to what I was told, you know. Like I mean, I was living out of the dojo, just like sleeping in the ring. There's blood in it from like the guys training it that were already on the main roster. It's not clean. It's just like it's over catered and stacked with just shit, basically, from like tournaments and light tubes. It's dust and dirty, whatnot. And as far as too, it's like, you know, it's like mainstay of like things. It's like I knew what I was getting into. It's like you're gonna do 3 months.
Yep.
And then it's like pay your dues all over again, you know. So the first 3 months, I didn't like it. I hated it. I didn't even care to even go back. I was ready to start doing trials with WWE again, or possibly go back to Ring of Honor or even Impact, just try to get something. But you know, once I came back to the United States and then like I started reaching out, like I ended up losing like 45 pounds when I was out there for the first 3 months because I wasn't eating anything. You know, it's like I'm not used to the food. I'm not used to like, I can't read labels here. It's in Japanese. I don't know what the fuck this shit is.
Yeah.
So I ended up losing a lot of weight.
At the time, was Danny over there with you at the time?
No, I didn't even know Danny. Like I didn't know Danny. Like the only people that were over there at the time was Craig Classic and then
fuck, man.
Yeah, Craig Classic and then like Necro Butcher he would come in, but he wasn't over there for 3 months. He was over there for like spot events or like a 2 week tour. Him and Madman Pondo and Too Tough Tony. But I mean, the thing is, too, it's like, honestly, like as gaijins coming into Big Japan, we got treated like shit, you know.
Young boy.
There's no point even faving that. Like, they treated us like shit. There were sponsored dinners at events, and they didn't tell us about it. So, like, literally, it's like, go eat at like a 7-Eleven, pretty much at the gas station. So that's another reason why I lost a lot of weight. But you know, you can't diet, you can't work out. So, like I said, first 3 months I hated it. Came back to the States. They were reaching out and trying to get somewhere, but I already lost like 45 pounds. And everything that WWE had told me at the time was like, we like your work. You just need to get cut up. And we like your size, but you really need to shred up and tone up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I took that advice and like, if you follow, like, if you watch like the later matches, like towards the end of like what my little stint was in Ring of Honor was, like I was jacked and shredded at 245, like cut. I had abs, like veins bulging out, all the bullshit, you know.
You're
and then when I went to Big Japan, you gradually see me lose a lot of weight, like bad, you know. But I mean,
you're not getting the same, you know, obviously the same types of food that you used to putting into your body.
Yeah, not the same type of food. It's not getting that same protein intake I was, and not being able to work out every day like I was. But anyway, once I got back, you know, I went back to WWE, and then like, you know, went to do tryouts, and like they looked at me like, okay, you didn't follow anything that we told you to.
You lost
and at that time, I got super frustrated. I was like, you know what, fuck this. You know, this is where I'm going to be. So then I need to go back to Japan. And then I went back out there and just like, fuck it, I'm just going to bulk up, you know, just eat whatever the fuck I can. Can't really work out, but just power lift, power train, and try to bulk up as much as I can because they don't really care about bodybuilder types. So that's what I ended up doing. And at the time, gradually, like, you know, paying dues, it's like I was making more money overseas than I ever was in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of stuck it out. And like a lot of people thought I retired. Like nobody followed Big Japan Wrestling. So they just thought I would just quit wrestling altogether, but that wasn't the case. And now since like the internet's become more popular and people focus on everything, on every promotion, they've seen what I've been doing, and like a lot of guys try to emulate it and go over there, which that's fine, you know, do what you got to do. But you know, it's a tough road.
All right, so I wanted to ask you about this since you said you don't mind being asked about anything. So watch the Hardaway thing. Do you still feel the same way about the Skewers?
What's that? Was it Skewers?
Yeah, do you still feel the same way?
Oh yeah, that still pisses me off to this day. That always pissed me off. Yeah,
it legitimately like
that really pisses me off. And I'm going to tell you, like, there's several reasons why. One, it's like paying my dues overseas and then coming up with that gimmick, and then people I don't even know, like
that's the thing.
Little kids that little motherfuckers, and even women are stealing it, and it's like I don't even know you assholes. Like, why the hell are you stealing my shit? And the thing is, when people steal it, it becomes so generic, and it's on the same level as like a thumbtack. You know, like spreading thumbtacks out. Like, I mean, who invented that? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not retired and I'm not dead, so why are people stealing my stuff?
Exactly.
Because it gets over and it's easy, and it's like, and they don't even do it right, which is really stupid.
That's what's fucked up. Exactly.
And the thing is, it's even dumber. It's like, what's really even dumber, it's like I get tagged in this crap on social media every time people steal it, and it's like, I don't even know you. So it's like, if I was on a show with you, you're definitely not going to steal because I beat your ass, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that still pisses me off.
So you made mention of having a few WWE tryouts. Who were you liaising with over there in WWE? Who was the one that was giving you all the feedback after the tryouts, and what were the tryouts consisting of?
Well, the thing is, like, I was working for NWA Wildside. I was regular with them, and Bill Behrens at the time, like, he ran everything in NWA. You know, actually WWE ended up buying the NWA Wildside franchise, and then changed it into Deep South Wrestling as a developmental. So he was the one that was in to get it with WWE trials and even Impact at the time, which was NWA TNA. So I got tryouts with him through him, and the people that were giving me feedback was Dean Malenko, Tommy Dreamer, who else was there? Bill DeMont, and Chris Canyon. You know, another guy, rest his soul, but Chris Canyon was another one of the guys that gave me feedback on things I need to work on. And Michael Hayes. If it wasn't for Michael Hayes, like, I did Sunday Night Heat, and I wasn't scheduled to be on SmackDown in Houston. So I did Raw in Beaumont, Texas, and then there was Sunday Night Heat in Houston. I wasn't scheduled for Sunday night, or actually for SmackDown, sorry. But Michael Hayes, like, my match with Maven so much, he's like, hey, do you have a match set up for Houston? I was like, no, I don't. He's like, okay, you show up, I promise you'll get a dark match. I was like, all right, cool. Now, mind you, there's like 12 guys that were there for tryouts on Raw. Only like 4 of us got picked for Sunday Night Heat. When I went to Houston, out of that whole group of people, the same guys, the same hungry guys, there was only 2 of us that actually got a dark match. It was me and Jeremy Lopez, and that was it. And it was against each other. So Michael Hayes, like, had a lot of pull. And same thing. He told me, he's like, hey, we love your work. It's just you got to shred up, you know, and that was it.
I was telling him before the stream, too, because I looked at your Wikipedia, and I was, like, going through it. And I'm looking, and I'm like, 6 foot. Get the fuck out of here.
No, I'm not 6 foot.
You're fucking towering over it.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's Wikipedia stupid. Like,
that's what
I don't even know who writes that crap. Like, I'm 6'2", shoot, legit. So once I put my wrestling boots on, I'm 6'3", and I don't have any platform build-ups to make me look bigger.
That's what I was saying.
And then I'm shoot right now probably like 230 or 235.
Exactly. I was telling him, I was like, dude, I'm not a big guy. I'm like 5'7", you know what I mean? But I can tell when a guy is over 6 foot, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it's funny that you brought that up, but yeah, because I don't know. Because you look at stats online, it always has me billed as 6 foot, and I don't even know. And then they also don't even have like the year I debuted in, or they have like, I debuted in March 8th of 1999.
Yeah.
And then they have it like I debuted in like 2002, which I don't know where the hell they pulled that out of their ass. I guess because Ring of Honor had started at that time.
Wikipedia just pull fucking like it's people like I could go onto it and I can edit it and I can say Masada was born with 2 fucking heads and 15
right.
fingers. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like,
it's ridiculous. There's no facts behind it. It's stupid.
Hey, listen, they did get 2 things right. You are the first person to win back-to-back TODs, so fuck everyone else. That's one of TOD.
But the thing that pisses me off too, it's like that nobody says anything like. Like online, it's like there's only 2 American wrestlers that won tournaments in Japan. It's me and Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. We're the only 2 wrestlers to do that in the United States.
That's huge, man.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I kind of get, desensitized to things that I've done. And then my wife will tell me, like, you've done this and this and this. Like, you
tournaments in Japan, Nick Gage Invitational, 2 CODs. I mean, how many King of the Deathmatch, IWA Mid-South?
Yeah. Quite a few.
Quite a few.
I mean, the thing is, it never gets brought up, So that's like one of those things, like, that should be,
listen, man,
kind of highlighted in the North American wrestling scene, but it's not,
See, well, I'm in the Northeast. So I'm in Jersey.
There you go.
I'm the hub
of there you go. What's up?
South Jersey. It's like I'm at the H2O factory, so I'm around everybody and Brett and GCW and everything. You know what I mean? I like to come in. I like to stay out of the politics.
For sure.
So let's go
around here.
I mean, that's like, like the main question, like when we started this interview is like, why did I go that route? It's because of politics.
Yep.
Like politics are horrible. It's just like, it gets to the point, like literally I took like a span break. I mean, just not even that long ago. Like I felt really bad, like in the alcoholism, like just drinking constantly and just like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun. And I got to deal with stupid bullshit all the time. So like I hit rock bottom. And then honestly, it's like, me and my wife, like we've been friends for the longest time. And then like finally like, hey, settle down, get your head out of your ass, and sobering up. Like that really changed my life around where it's like, okay, I still can do this and just go out there and, rock it. It doesn't matter what people think, like fuck them all,
Dude, 100%. When I saw you with that show, like that latest, the 21st anniversary show, I walked through the fucking whatever, that little AstroTurf, what they have to get into the building.
Right.
And I walked across that and I looked over and I saw you at your table and I said, tapped my buddy. I said, look how fucking healthy he looks, bro. Like you look big, you look happy, you were smiling, you had your wife. I was like, he's gonna put on a fucking great show tonight. 100%, because you're in a good mindset now, you're healthy, you're doing better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she pulled me out of a dark place for sure. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, her family, I mean, she's been around wrestling for a long time. Her dad was Black Gordman, and like Mil Mascaras and Psicodelico Jr. and Psicodelico, like, Lucha Libre. So, she tells me all the right things to like, get my head straight and like, don't focus on the bullshit, tell these motherfuckers what's up. And that's what it is, go out there and do what you do. Because a lot of promoters, especially with like politics and all other crap, like all they do is try to tear you down.
Oh, 100%.
Like Gabe Spikolsky, like who ran Ring of Honor originally, because he's like doing Evolve now, he's notorious for tearing the guys down. Like just tearing, like if you think something's good, he'll just shit on it, like, and just constantly like belittle you, like mentally. And it's like that type of crap, like before I was even in wrestling, like I wouldn't put up with that shit. So now getting in wrestling, it's like, I'm not going to listen to this garbage. Like, I'll beat your fucking ass, like, in the parking lot.
Exactly.
And that's my whole mindset, too. And that's another reason, like, a lot of things, I got a lot of heat with people because they just tell me, hey, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You're not going to talk to me this way and you're not going to pay me peanuts. And, like, none of you assholes that are in the wrestling business can stand toe to toe with me. I don't care who the fuck you are. Like, I'll beat the shit out of you, shoot legit, and it ain't funny. And my wrestling game is good, but my fight game's a hell of a lot better than my fucking wrestling game.
And I respect the fuck out of that. I believe you too, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be many people in the world that want to go toe to toe with Masada. No. But I just want to throw it out to our viewers that are throwing some questions up, Masada. So okay. Wesley Kimberler has asked, who is your dream match? If you could have one dream opponent, who would it be?
Man, my one dream match. Honestly, like if it was back in the day, like guys that were on top, and if they were still like in prime condition, I mean, I've wrestled Sabu. He was a dream match for me. I've never wrestled Terry Funk. Terry's another one of those guys. But as far as like main roster of top people like that are signed right now, anybody. You know, I've wrestled with Jeff Cobb, like not like I say like a year and a half ago, but I'd love to wrestle Jeff Cobb one-on-one. And I just wrestled Brian Cage. I mean, honestly, anybody. I don't really have like any mindset of who's on top. Just whoever, honestly. Anybody that's on top, like on the game of like with WWE or All Elite Wrestling or Impact, I don't care. Any one of them.
Yeah, so. And I definitely think you can definitely hang with them in any type of wrestling match, and you've proven that time and time again. One match I actually just was watching this morning was a match that you had with Matt Hardy, which was a few years ago, and I must say that match was quite something, man. I really, really enjoyed that match. How did you find going up against someone like Matt Hardy, who had been a veteran in the game for a very long time, has been everywhere, been a champion everywhere? How did you find working with him?
Easy. I mean, the thing is with Matt, it's like when Matt first got released from WWE, or I think it was still WWE maybe, or it was WWF. I can't remember exactly. But when he got released, he went to Ring of Honor. So, you know, I've already known Matt, but the first time wrestling with him, it's like I respect everybody's career. I respect what they've done in the business. And end of the day, it's like there's no butterflies, there's no intimidation. If I was like still green in like only like 2 or 3 years in, I would be intimidated, or a little bit nervous. But you know, from now it's just there's just nothing there. So let's have a good match. And a lot of times guys have been on top. Like when they go back on the indies, they don't want to do anything. Matt's not one of those guys. And the thing is, too, it's like with people I've worked with that are back on the indies and they've been to WWE or the WCW or whatever it may be, they don't want to do anything. It's like, well, I mean, tough shit. Like, I'm going to make you do stuff, because we'll just go out there and call it in the ring or just improv it. I don't care, but you're doing something.
Yep.
So when you're having a big match or you have a big match planned, would you go into much detail before the match with an opponent, like to set out, or would you have like a couple of spots planned, or would you just go out there and just call it on the fly? Like, how do you like to prepare for your matches, especially the big ones?
I think the main thing is like when it comes down to like who I'm working with, like who I'm wrestling with, it's like what are they known for? Are they like super technical with their spots, or they're super like on point with everything, and they just have like their little niches, or they're guys that like to go out there and call it in the ring, which is actually the true art of pro wrestling, honestly, where you don't go out there and choreograph things. I mean, it just honestly, it depends on who I'm working with, and like I know what their signature moves are. I know where my style comes into play, and then tell a story off of that. And realistically, it's like what they're basing it off of, like why are they bringing me in, or why are we fighting? I mean, especially if we're touching the first time, there's really no heat going into anything. I don't have a problem with anybody. So it's more or less a filling out period. So I know their signature moves beforehand and, study up on them and just go with that mindset. Like, okay, he does this. So if I counter off of that, I can do this to him, or he can counter my move, whatever it may be. I just wrestled Loki, matter of fact, not that long ago. And my mindset going into wrestling with him is like, he's super technical with things. He's going to call a lot of stuff. And it wasn't like that at all. We're going to go out there and we're going to fill it off the crowd and just go out there and like beat the living hell out of each other. And that's it. And that's what we did, So it depends. It also depends on the other person, you know.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, like I said, like if they come in the attitude, like I'm just here to get a payday, and then like you're just here as somebody for me to like a body in the ring.
Yeah.
That shit doesn't jive with me, and I'll be bumping your ass around. Like, believe me, you know, because they don't want to take any bumps or take any falls. Like, well, guess what? When I'm picking you up, you're going to or tuck your chin. So that is what it is.
Oh, listen.
Do you find it like, are you obviously been a veteran for 21 years? Do you find when you are offered a match or a spot on the card against someone who is pretty green, do you find it difficult to sort of work with those guys, or do you say, hey, I think I might face someone else, thanks? Or do you prepare to work with those green guys to help build them up?
No, I still work with them. You know, it's like, cause that's the whole thing. It's like when I was green, I had veterans that took me under their wing, and like, you know, that's just part of the business. So I don't have a problem wrestling with guys that are green. But if they start screwing up, you know, I'm quick to, you know,
Correct.
okay, that's not what you do. So this is what's happening here.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't have a problem with that. And it's the same thing. It's like, you know, I'll ask people that know him, like, hey, what does he do? And, you know, how's he in the ring? I always fill people out and see what's up. But I've never turned down a match with somebody that's green. And, like, I'll turn things down, like, as far as it comes down to, like, death matches, where it's like, hey, I don't want to be in the ring with that guy because I'm not getting fucked up or getting, like, hit in the head, or, like, hey, I don't know if this guy's been tested with, like,
Exactly.
you know, blood diseases. I don't know him. Like, there's been a few instances in Mexico where I've gotten, you know, bookings out there where they're like, hey, this, you want to work this guy? I was like, no, I'm not. Let me see a test on him because I ain't working with him. I'm not even messing with that. So,
have you seen that that's something that's been more prevalent as far as the blood testing going nowadays as what it was like back when you first started?
I mean, the thing is, like, there was blood testing. I mean, even the Louisiana, like, just to get a wrestling license in Louisiana, you have to have a blood test.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that sucked when I first started. It was like every like 3 or 4 months. I mean, there's guys that are bleeding with each other every week, you know, and it doesn't matter. I don't know who they're bleeding with, like outside of this or what they're doing. So it's like, I want blood tests, like, and I want to know, you know what I mean? Especially when I know like certain people. I'm gonna name names, like I know they're dirty. It's like, nah, I'm not even playing that.
It's the deathmatch, you know what I mean? The community, especially at that time, a lot of people partied. Necro obviously isn't in the best. Hey, look who's here!
Yeah.
Hi.
Little angel. But yeah, I love you too. He's not in the best condition at all, and I saw him at the event and I couldn't even believe it.
Exactly.
You know?
Me too, dude.
Because like when I met Necro, he weighed 265, and like, I mean, let's be honest, he wasn't in the best shape ever, but I mean, he was a big dude, and it's just like, man, he's like shriveled down, and he's only 47. Like, what the fuck?
It's sad. I know.
That's something that brought a tear to my eye. I actually watched the CZW anniversary show, and seeing Necro come out, like, I've always been like a massive fucking mark for Necro and everything he's done, and to see him come out, and I'm like, damn, man, this guy's like 10 years older than me, and like, he looks like he's fucking walking like he's 80, and you know, and that's something even Corporal Robinson was saying. He's like, man, you know, he lived his life his way for many years, and it's kind of caught up with him, you know. And he goes, it's sad to see, and it definitely is, man. As I said, it brought a tear to my eye to see him like that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's messed up. I mean, the thing is, I talked to him in the back, and I was like, man, I hate seeing you like this. He's like, you know, I did it to myself. It's like, man, I don't want to be like that. You know, I'm 38 now, and it's like I never want to be like that. Ever. Like, ever.
Oh man, it's a somber tone. I want to try and lighten the mood. So
please do. Please do.
I'm sorry. It makes me sad, man. I love Necro to death, and it was rough. It was great seeing him in shellac. He kind of passed the choose shirt. That thing was like, I love that. That was really cool of Danny to show up. Shout out to Danny, and what he's doing, No Holds Barred right now is fucking awesome, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing. I saw you made an announcement. You're doing the. What's it? Fuck.
House Party 5.
Yeah, House
Are you
Party
in
5.
Philadelphia?
The Mania show. The no ring for. No.
Oh yeah,
Right?
that's been announced. I didn't know I announced that.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah, they reached out to me. Yeah, so yeah, I'll be in Florida. What is that? April 2nd. I'll be out there. I thought you were talking about like House Party 5 in Philly against Homicide. But yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. This on Twitter they announced it today. No Peace Underground, I guess.
Yeah.
Who's your
Right,
opponent
cool.
for that one? Do you know yet?
I believe it's a 3-way dance. I can't remember exactly right off like who it is. Well, Brandon Kirk, he's one of them. And the other guy I'm not familiar with, or I'm not sure exactly, because they had like names that were thrown out there. I was like, I don't care, let's do it.
I like Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon's good people.
Yeah.
But,
So who was some of your influences like getting into professional wrestling? Who were some of the guys that you idolized or looked up to in the business?
Well, the crazy thing is like, given like my age, it's like a lot of people like forget. It's like, when I was 5 years old, wrestling was like hot even then in the 80s. ESPN showed pro wrestling every single day. Like it was either AWA or it was World Class Championship Wrestling. I caught the in parts of that, of World Class, so Von Erichs, and he had Old Mid-South Wrestling. And like I said, AWA. I saw Dingo Warrior. I saw Cactus Jack Manson.
Yeah.
I saw Larry Sabisco. Like I grew up with those guys, like watching them. And like my parents, like we didn't have cable. Like I knew who Hulk Hogan was. I knew who $1 Million Man was. I knew Jake St. Roberts was. But I never got to watch WWF because it was at that time. It seemed like it was always like on like Cinemax or it was on HBO. It was always like some big like before pay-per-view even existed. It was on the higher channels that you had to pay for.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching the territories. Well, I mean, before they slowly died out, and then gradually it's like I watched WCW because it was on like local access TV. So I mean, as far as like guys I really liked as a kid, it's like I always liked the Von Erichs, and then catching like little clips of like Bruiser Brody and whatnot. It's like I really liked him. And then later on, it's like as a kid, you grow out of wrestling, people tell you like, oh, it's all bullshit, blah blah blah. And I think a lot of things people don't really get how realistic wrestling is. Like they really don't. But then ECW came into play, and it's like my friends that still followed wrestling were like, you got to check this out. This company's crazy. There was some barbed wire matches. They have like all kinds of shenanigans and whatnot.
It became
so. It came the new in, but the thing is, it was a new in, but it really wasn't anything new about it, like with barbed wire matches.
Yeah.
So, seeing guys like Sabu, seeing Terry Funk as a little kid, and then seeing him in like ECW later on doing things, it's crazy. So
I remember getting an ECW tape that had Terry and Dory Funk versus the Public Enemy in a no-rope barbed wire match. And I would have been like 14 or 15 watching that. And I'm sitting there seeing Dory Funk, who looked like my grandfather. And I'm going like, fuck, man, this guy is a crazy fuck. You know what I mean? Like part of me was like, I don't want to watch, but I can't look away, So.
And they trusted Public Enemy of all people to do a barbed wire match with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so that sparked my interest back into pro wrestling, because like that's extreme, At that point too, when I was younger, it's like I've always wanted to do MMA before it was even MMA. Like I have a background in Taekwondo, I have a secondary black belt in that, and like I always wanted to fight. So UFC at that time was just an open contest, and now it's way different. It's just like boxing.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and once you got into the
okay. My wife wants to say hi. She don't want to be on camera though.
No, that's all right. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
He was episode CC Dub.
Oh, then so you know who I am.
Yeah, they know you are.
I'm from Australia, but I have seen the show, and I'm a big Masada fan, so I do know who
awesome.
you are. We'll have to get you on the show next.
Okay. I'll be on it. I'm good.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like when we talk about hardcore wrestling, barbed wire matches and whatnot, like Black Gorman, her dad, was one of the very first like wrestlers to bring in barbed wire in Mexico.
Oh,
So when people go into history of barbed wire matches, like he's one of the top like name guys. Because like that's what I was saying earlier. It's like when you go into history of wrestling, a lot of stuff that's online is bullshit. It's like they don't really like show the history of wrestling unless you're in this area. You're in Mexico, then you don't know. Yeah. But her father was one of the main guys that created that match. And then later on, it went into Puerto Rico, the Caribbean barbed wire matches, and then Onita stole it with the F&W and yada yada yada. But I'm the first motherfucker that skewers, so.
You know what? It's funny. Like we mentioned skewers before, and I wanted to say this. I watched the barbed wire match they did in TNA with the Chris brothers versus OVE. Oh, sorry, right. OVE versus LAX, and one of them, I see the skewers come out in the head, and the first thing that went into my mind was, they fucking stole Masada's shit.
Yeah, they did.
Every time.
Yeah, I was super heated about that. Yeah, super heated. And it really pissed me off because with those guys, like I helped them go to Japan and like paved the way to go to Europe, you know? Like I've helped a lot of people out and it's like, man, you motherfuckers, you know? So that's like the period I was talking about earlier. It's like where I was like, you know, I'm going to step back from wrestling for a bit. And like I had to because, man, not good.
Yeah. Now that things are not, I wouldn't say in a stable position, but like from how you've been talking, it sounds like you would rather work a more like a less chaotic schedule. You don't dive right in.
As far as like a schedule goes, like I'm open to anything, but I'm more or less like I go into business more professional than I did before.
Exactly.
Because I would just tell promoters like, no.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I did that anyway, but the thing is, like, now I could just tell a promoter, like, hey, I'm not doing that because I'd rather just stay at home with my wife and kids.
Yep.
Or, like, back in the day, I would have said some really derogatory things, like, nah, go F yourself, blah, 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 and, like, you know, just threats, and, like, it's not good. But, you know when people are playing you, you know what I mean? Just in everyday life. You know when people are fake. You know when people are snakes. So, there's a lot of them in wrestling. So, I mean, on the business standpoint of things now, it's like I'm very direct with what I want. And it's like, if I'm not getting it, then, hey, man, you know, I can stay home. I'm good with that.
If one of the major companies were to contact you, and I know you said that there's a lot of politics still in wrestling, and no one's ever going to probably dispute that. You know, if you were to get contacted by any of the major promotions, AEW, NWA, ROH, WWE, or New Japan, would you be hesitant to go to those companies, or would you be more willing to go to them? Obviously, be looking at it for a business standpoint, or would you be hesitant about going into the politics and locking yourself in for a contract?
I mean, that really depends on what the contract is, you know? Like, if it was like a WWE schedule, I'm not interested in that, honestly. If it's like Impact or like Ring of Honor, or even, you know, All Elite Wrestling, I'm more open to stuff like that, where it's like you're going to come in and do your filmings, your tapings, and your 3 or 4 tapings, and then go home. I'm not interested in doing like a 24-hour schedule of pro wrestling. Like it doesn't interest me. Like I'm too happy at home with my wife and kids. So at the end of the day, that's what it means more to me. Money doesn't mean shit to me. It never has.
Yeah.
But spending time with my loved ones, that means everything to me. So they couldn't offer me any money amount to do that.
Fucking that's awesome.
And I think that's as well as like having that creative control over what you've built for 21 years. I mean, you are a brand in professional wrestling, and you know if you're going to go there, it's depending on how they're going to portray you and how you're going to be allowed to develop your character and be. And I think in a WWE, you know, it would be, you know, I don't know, I don't work in the professional wrestling business, but I find, you know, WWE seems to water down a lot of their talent that they seem to get, whereas other promotions seem to sort of let the talent build themselves up to where they need to be.
Right. I mean, the thing is, even if you look at like my tryouts, like if you looked at the gear I wore, my gear is very flashy. Like it's white with like, you know, metallic blue and gold and silver tribal stuff that says Masada on the sides. Like that's not me, you know. And when I wrestled like on the indies before I got those matches, like I wore what I wore now. I mean, I used to not wear a top, but it's like I always wore the cutoff shorts or like the shorts that had like the band patches because I mean, I grew up in the South, you know, like Pantera is like I love Pantera, like, and grew up like, you know, as a teenager, Phil Anselmo, that was his style in the whole punk rock scene. So I always like emulated that. It's like, okay, I like that. You know, that's a legit like badass dude. So I like that style.
100%.
So, and then like, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's about all I can say about that. It's just, I'm not going to wear tights and I'm not going to wear trunks. Like I'm always going to wear shorts.
That's 100%. I think if you rocked up to a wrestling show and started wearing some spandex, people are going to be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're not going to be feeling that at all, and like I wouldn't either.
Yeah, fuck
like,
it.
That's not my thing.
Nope.
How did you come up with the name Masada? Where does that originate from?
The funny thing is, like, my parents are the ones that actually came up with the name Masada, and it's based off of like, if you go into history of things, like in Israel, there was a Mount Masada, and you go like deep in history when it comes to like the Roman Empire. There was a colony of Jews that lived up on this mountain, and you know, for whatever reason, being like Rome was trying to enslave everybody, so they could never figure out how to actually get up onto this like mountain, this plateau area. And once they finally did, like instead of like being enslaved, all the Masada ended up committing suicide, mass genocide, or you know whatever they. The story's different. They say like genocide or mass suicide. So instead of being enslaved, like that's what they did. So I think is to me like my parents told me that it's like okay, that's a cool name and it's pretty.
It is.
To me, it was morbid at the time, but to me, it's more or less like just society in general is just don't back down to anybody and rather handle things on your own accord and end it the way that you want. So, you know, I never did promos or like hear stories about things. So nobody ever really knew like where the name came from. So, but that's what it is. That's what it's about.
Literally death before dishonor.
Exactly. That's what it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
That's
a very fitting name for your character. And I can see, you know, obviously the story behind it is really, really good. We have a comment from one of the Facebook users, and I will mention this. If you want your name to come up on display, just click the link above so we can see who's asking it. But someone's just saying, also, Masada, building your sick artwork and weapons is a hobby you enjoy.
Yes, I wanted him to plug this.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I've been making things actually before I started wrestling, and that's another thing that my family got me involved in. And Exiled Artifacts is the name of the company. And I just go more full force in that than ever. You know, there's a lot of things.
I love
when
it.
I was younger, it's like I dabbled in, and now it's just like if somebody wants something custom made, and my wife plugs the hell out of it, it's like anything from like knives to swords to leatherwork to custom statues, like anything. Like I'm all hands on. And the thing is, like even with the name Exiled Artifacts, it's like when you know you don't fit in, you know you're exiled, and then an artifact. So if you go into history of weapons and whatnot, they may not have been popular at the time, and they're very, you know, because they're cast out. So that's the whole name.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, that's insane, dude. And
yeah, we got the drop on 2 fucking names and the reasonings behind them tonight.
So, and that's the thing, you know, like maybe, you know, send us a link. We can post it up in our Facebook group. We have a lot of wrestling collectors, and we also post our show in a few other groups where there's a lot of wrestling collectors involved as well. So hopefully we can maybe send some people your way and get some exiled artifacts by Masada shipped out to them. So
some really cool shit. Some of the skulls are really awesome. The knives are badass. I've seen a bunch of your works. Awesome. I saw you had a bunch of the skulls with you at the show, right? The 21st anniversary.
Yes, I did.
I was checking them out over there. They're fucking awesome, dude. So
I appreciate you plugging everything.
Somebody go buy some shit now. Support this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I pretty much do everything. But hey, guys, like I hate to do this, but I've got to cut it pretty soon here.
Hey, no, dude.
I appreciate y'all having me.
We'll just winding up anyway. So, guys,
cool.
Masada, if you just want to hang on till we can jump off. But guys, thank you very much for watching this episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I've been joined by Ryan, Clem, MDK, and our special guest, Masada. Thank you so much for coming on and spending a little bit of your time. Kevin,
appreciate it. We definitely got to do this again. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, you're welcome back anytime, bro. Anytime at all. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.
Awesome. Appreciate it.